Hi, happy Thursday. This is Queen V. We will continue. Last week we talked about the Hamans in your life. Where there is an Esther, there will be a Haman, there will be a Mordecai. So recognize the Hamans in your life, recognize the Mordecais. They may have different faces in different places, but you got to recognize it. Okay, now Esther was in position. Okay, she was the queen. She didn't realize what she was there for. Mordecai had to point out that, hey, you are in this position for such a time as this. They were about to be destroyed. Haman had devised a decree to destroy all the Jews because he didn't like Mordecai. He knew that Mordecai was a Jew. He didn't know that Esther was a Jew, though. So Mordecai got the news and he said, hey, girl, you got to do something. You're in position. You are the only one. We're out here. You're in the palace. You're right there with the king. You got to do something. And so Esther realized that, hey, I'm here for such a time as this. So she devised a plan. Now, she didn't just say, go to Haman and say, oh, you ugly dog, you doing this to us. No, she used wisdom. She told Mordecai, hey, get the people together and fast. I think it was for 3 days. She implemented a plan. She knew she had to go into the king's court. And the rule was, if you went into the king's court uninvited, you would be killed. And evidently, she and the king had been having a little bit of problems because he hadn't invited her to his chambers. So she had to step out on faith. She said, I'm going to die. Either I'm going to die trying or I'm going to die anyway. Whether she went to the king or not, she was going to die. So she decided, if I perish, let me perish. I'm going to the king. So she went to the king. In faith, she stepped out there, and the fasting opened the door. The king stretched out his scepter and gave her favor. He gave her favor. And so she was able to get in good with him again and invite him to dinner. She didn't invite him one time. She invited him to dinner more than one time. But on the first time, she didn't tell everything that was going on. She made sure the king had a good time on the first invite. And then on the second invite, she let the king know what was going on. She didn't only invite the king to dinner. She invited Haman as well. And so as they're sitting there, she said, it's time for me to reveal who I am. I am a Jew. She let the king know that she was a Jew and that Haman had devised this decree that they should be killed. And she let the king know what was going on, but she used wisdom. She used fasting. And she implemented a plan. She just didn't just do it all sloppy. She implemented a plan to deal with her Haman, to conquer her Haman. Haman was hung on the gallows. He was killed along with his son. So there may be some people in your life that will point you, say, hey, maybe you're here for this reason. You need to step up and do something. And those are the Mordecais in your life. And so she needed Mordecai to encourage her to do what she needed to do. And so a lot of times when we're dealing with people that don't like us or that are enemies, they don't even know why sometimes. We may have to use some fasting and prayer and ask God to give us wisdom on how to implement a plan to deal with that person. Because you can't do it sloppy. Sometimes you will be labeled as a troublemaker if you do it in a sloppy way. But if you do it in a way that brings grace and honor, then the one in authority may hear you. And as I said last week, if the situation is still bad, God is either going to promote somebody up or out. It's going to be either you or that person in authority. So Esther, she implemented a plan. She had fasting going on. She had people fasting. And she used wisdom. She didn't tell the king what was going on the first dinner. She invited him to dinner again. And she not only invited the king, but she also invited Haman. And so the moral of the story is don't just, if you're having trouble with somebody, you have a Haman in your life, don't just deal with it any kind of way. Go to God in prayer, use some wisdom. If he instructs you to fast, fast. And then he will give you a plan on how to deal with that person. There's a time and there's a place, and do it in love. I heard Pastor Conine say that. Pastor Conine always said, there's a time, there's a place, and do it in love. Use some wisdom when you're dealing with your Haman. All right, God bless you. Remember to like, subscribe, share, follow. Get this video to someone that needs it. God bless you till next time.